channel. Today, we are going to do important questions from the chapter A House is Not a Home. We'll be justifying the title and we'll be doing 21 important questions. Before that, if you haven't watched this video explanation of the chapter, then do watch this video. The link is given in the description box. Let's start with the questions. The first one. Why was the first year of the narrator awkward in high school? When the narrator entered high school, he was a freshman there. Now, freshman means new entry, so he was the junior most. He did not enjoy the perks of being a senior there as he did in his previous school. The new school was twice as big as the old one, and to make matters worse, his closest friends were sent to a different high school. So, the closest friends वो अलग-अलग schools में चले गए और ये जो school में गया वहाँ पे उसका कोई friend उसके साथ नहीं था. So, he felt isolated and lonely. So because of this, he felt alone and isolated. He was not able to adjust himself to the new school. All this made his first year awkward in high school. Second question. What did his teachers at the old school suggest to the narrator when he visited them? The narrator missed his teachers at junior high. He would often visit them there. But the teachers at junior high encouraged him to get involved in the school activities at high school so as to make new friends. So teachers suggested, वो बहुत encouraging थे, उन्होंने suggest किया जो नए school में activities में participate करो, बच्चों से मिलो, so you'll be able to make new friends. They told him that soon he would adjust to the new environment and probably he'll end up loving his new school more than the old one. Third question. I took some comfort in it nonetheless. What did the narrator mean by this? Despite all the awkwardness, he felt a little comforted after talking to his teachers in the old school. So he would go to the old school, he would talk to the teachers, and teachers always encouraged them कि अपने नए स्कूल में मन लगाने की कोशिश करो. So उनकी बातें सुन के उसको थोड़ा सा सुकून मिलता था. So he says that he felt a little comforted after talking to his teachers in the old school. The encouraging words of the teachers there gave him a little hope, but still he wasn't very happy going to a new school. So उसको थोड़ा सा सुकून जरूर मिलता था, पर अभी भी वो adjust नहीं कर सका था. Then question number 4. What happened one Sunday afternoon? One Sunday afternoon, the narrator was completing his homework sitting at his dining room table when he smelled something strange. He noticed smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. The smoke filled the room so quickly that the narrator and his mother could barely see anything. Their house had caught fire and everything was destroyed. So, their house had caught fire. एकदम जल्दी से इतनी तेजी से आग पूरे घर में आग फैल गई that they didn't even have time to pick some important things. Now, question number 5. The narrator's cat was very attached to him. Discuss. The narrator had rescued his tabby cat when he was a kitten. Since then, the cat felt secure with him. She was never far from him. Sorry, I should have written here she. So, when she was a kitten. Since then, the cat felt secure with him. She was never far from him. When he got up in the morning, he would disturb her and she would follow him everywhere. So cat पूरा दिन उसके पीछे पीछे रहती थी. She would climb up his robe and crawl into his pocket and sleep peacefully. On that fateful day too, his cat was lying on his papers when he was doing his homework. Thus the cat was very attached to the narrator and felt that he was responsible for giving her a good life. So cat was very attached to the narrator. She was always with the narrator. Wherever the narrator went, she went with the narrator. So that day also, when the house caught fire, the cat was sitting on the papers of the narrator while he was doing his homework. So this shows that the cat was very attached to him. Sixth one. Why did the narrator's mother run inside the house twice? The narrator and his mother were caught in fire unanticipatedly. The fire had engulfed their house so quickly that they didn't get any chance to pick any of their important things. But the narrator's mother knew it would be a problem for them without their documents. So narrator की mother को पता था कि कुछ important documents हैं जो बहुत ज़रूरी हैं जिन्हें वो घर में नहीं छोड़ सकती थी. So the narrator's mother went inside the burning house to bring a small metal box full of important documents. After bringing the documents, she again went inside. This time she had gone for her husband's pictures and letters. She had lost her husband when the narrator was young. The narrator knew that she would never let those things burn in fire, as they were the only things she had to remember her husband. So, because of these two reasons, she went inside the burning house 2 times. Seventh one now. Who brought the mother out of the burning house, and was she safe? The narrator got scared when he saw his mother going inside the burning house for the second time. He screamed in fear and wanted to go after her. But a hand held him. It was a fireman who had reached by that time. So one of the firemen went inside and brought the narrator's mother out with him. He took her to the narrator and put an oxygen mask on her. He told the narrator that she had just inhaled a little smoke and was going to be okay. So firemen जो है वो तब तक पहुंच जाते हैं. So narrator अपनी मदर के पीछे भागने लगता है, but एक fireman उसे पकड़ लेता है. And then one of the firemen goes inside and brings the mother out safely. Now eighth one. What was the reaction of the narrator when the fireman brought his mother out? The narrator ran to his mother and hugged her. He was terrified to see his mother go inside the burning house. At the thought of losing her, all the moments when he had argued with her and hated her vanished from his mind. All he wanted was his mother to be safe. तो जब वो अपनी मदर को घर के अंदर जाते देखता है, so he gets terrified. So उसने अपनी मदर के साथ पहले जितनी भी आर्ग्यूमेंट हुई हो, मदर की कोई बात अच्छी ना लगी हो, वो सब भूल जाता है. At that moment he just wanted her mother to be to be safe. Ninth one. What made the narrator break down in tears? What made him think that he was suffering from a big loss? The firemen were able to extinguish fire after 5 hours. During that time, almost everything was burned down. Suddenly, he realized that his cat was not there. Then he realized that his problems were piling up. First, his school, the fire, and then his cat. He felt terrified and broke into tears. He felt he was suffering from loss, big time. Everything seemed dark to him. So narrator को एकदम से ध्यान आता है कि उसकी कैट भी उसके पास नहीं है. So उसे लगता है उसके साथ सब कुछ गलत हो रहा है. पहले उसका स्कूल जिसे वो एडजस्ट नहीं कर पा रहा, फिर घर को आग लग जाती है, and then his cat. So he felt that सब कुछ उसके खिलाफ हो रहा है. Now the 10th question. Why were the narrator and his mother not allowed to go into the house that night? Where did they go then? The firemen, they were able to extinguish the fire after a lot of effort. It took them 5 hours to do that. But even then, the narrator and his fire were not allowed to go into their house. It was still dangerous because of the smoke and chemicals used in extinguishing fire. So they decided to go to the narrator's grandparents' house to spend the night. So because of this, they had to go to narrator's grandparents' house. Now, 11th one. Why was the narrator embarrassed to go to school on Monday, and why did he want to curl up and die? The narrator and his mother had lost everything in fire. The narrator didn't have any clothes, books, shoes, and even his backpack. He wanted to stay home, but his mother didn't allow him to. When he was doing his homework, he had kicked off his shoes, which got burnt in the fire. Because of this, he was embarrassed to go to school. He was wearing the same clothes that he had worn on Sunday. He had to borrow shoes for school. Going to school without his books and backpack was awkward for him. He was feeling like an outcast and didn't want to grow up. He was very upset with his life and wanted to curl up and die. So उसे बहुत अजीब लग रहा था कि सेम वही कपड़े पहन के फिर स्कूल जाना जो उसने संडे को पहने थे. And he didn't have any books, his homework, his backpack, nothing was there. उसके shoes जो है वो भी आग में जल जाते हैं, so उसे borrow करने पड़ते हैं. So इसलिए उसे स्कूल जाने में बहुत embarrassment हो रही थी. So he didn't want to go to school, but his mother didn't listen to him. Now 12th one. Why did the narrator feel like a zombie in the school? Why did the narrator feel life was not being good to him? The narrator felt like a zombie in the school because he was wearing the clothes that he was wearing the previous day. He had to borrow shoes from his aunt. Everything seemed so strange to him. All the things that gave security to him, his old school, his friends, his house, and his cat, they were not with him. He was not sure what was going to happen next. He felt life was being cruel to him. So उसे लगता है कि वो एक zombie की तरह स्कूल में घूम रहा है because उसने कपड़े जो है वो भी ठीक से नहीं पहने होते, शूज उसने बोरो किए, उसके पास उसका ना बुक्स है ना बैकपैक है. सो बहुत अजीब सा लग रहा है, उसे लग रहा है कि लाइफ जो है उसके साथ कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं कर रही. Now 13th. What were the only things that were not burnt in the fire and why? A few important documents and the narrator's father's pictures and letters were the only things that were not burnt in fire. These things were rescued by the narrator's mother, who went inside the burning house twice to secure them. Now, 14th. Why was there no time for the narrator and his mother to grieve? The narrator and his mother had lost everything in the fire. They had to start from scratch. They had to look for a place to live and buy some clothes for school. Thus, there was no time to grieve. They had to quickly move on. So narrator की मदर को पता था कि उन्हें जल्दी से किसी घर का इंतजाम करना पड़ेगा, स्कूल के लिए नरेटर के लिए कपड़े लेने पड़ेंगे, and they had to move on. तो उनके लिए घर के साथ जो हुआ, जो घर में आग लग गई, जो कुछ नहीं बचा, उस पे उदास होने का भी टाइम नहीं था. 15th. Why would the narrator go over to watch men clear away the debris of their house? The narrator would go over to watch men clear away the debris of his house with the hope of finding his cat. His cat has been missing since the day of the fire. He was missing his cat terribly. So वो बार बार वहां जाता था इसी होप से कि हो सकता है उसे वहां उसकी cat मिल जाए. Now 16th. What kind of attention did the narrator get at school after his school was burnt? Why didn't he want that kind of attention? Bad news always spreads quickly. So the news of the narrator's house being completely burnt in fire also reached his new school. After that, when he went to school, he felt all eyes on him. People were having pity on him. He felt as if he was responsible for all that. He felt embarrassed. He was not looking for that sympathetic attention. So उसे लगा अगले दिन जब सबको ये खबर मिल गई कि सब उसी की तरफ तरस खा के देख रहे हैं, so उसे इस तरह की attention बिल्कुल नहीं चाहिए थी. Now 17th. Why were the people at school acting more strange than usual? After everyone at school came to know about Zan's tragedy, the people at school took up a collection and bought school supplies and other necessary things to help him. They had kept all those things on a table in the gym. They wanted to take Zan to the gym to give him all that stuff. So they were acting a little strange than usual. It was almost as if they were shoving him into the gym. So सब स्टूडेंट्स जो थे स्कूल के, उन्होंने कलेक्शन करके पैसे इकट्ठे करके जैन के लिए जो सामान है, जरूरी सामान है, वो खरीदा. सो वो सारा सामान उन्होंने एक जिम में टेबल के ऊपर रखा एंड नाउ दे वांटेड टू टेक जैन into that gym. So therefore they were acting a little strange that day. So वो जैन के आसपास घूम रहे थे और उस ऐसे लग रहा था कि जैसे वो उसे जिम की तरफ पुश कर रहे हैं. 18th. What made the narrator think that things were going to be okay? Or what actions of the schoolmates changed the author's understanding of life and people and comfort him emotionally? Or how does his loneliness vanish and how does he start participating in life? So ये question किसी भी form में आ सकता है. Now the answer. When the narrator saw the table in the gym with all kinds of stuff on it, he was overcome with emotion. The students at the school had bought school supplies, notebooks, all kind of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuit, etc. After a long time, he felt he was not alone. So ये देख के उसे बहुत अच्छा लगा. उसे लगा कि उसके आसपास लोग हैं जो उसकी care करते हैं. So people who had never spoken to him, they were coming up to him to introduce themselves. He got many invitations to their places. He made many friends that day. तो उसने उस दिन बहुत दोस्त बनाए. The realization that there were people who cared made him think that things were going to be fine. He felt emotionally strong and decided to start anew. So उसे लगा कि उसके आसपास जो लोग हैं वो अच्छे हैं, उसकी केयर करते हैं. So उसे लगा कि लाइफ जो है वो उसमें अब सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. 19th. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up. What does the narrator mean by this? So, this is important. After joining the high school, the narrator was overcome with the feelings of insecurity. His friends had gone to different schools and he felt lonely at his new school. So नए स्कूल में आने से उसे lonely लगता है, उसे insecurity feel होती है because वो वहाँ पे किसी को नहीं जानता. So he thought himself to be an outcast. To make things worse, his house caught fire and his beloved cat went missing. So इसी के साथ उसका जो घर है उसमें आग लग गई और उसकी कैट जो है वो भी कहीं गुम हो गई. सो ही सारी एक के बाद एक बुरी चीजें उसके साथ होती हैं जिस वजह से ही गोज इनटू अ डिप्रेसिव स्टेट. The news of his house being destroyed in fire reached his new school. The people there made a collection and bought all necessary school supplies, clothes and other things for him. So ये खबर जब उसके नए स्कूल पहुंचती है तो वहाँ जो लोग हैं वो उसकी हेल्प करने का सोचते हैं और वो पैसे इकट्ठे करके ये सारी चीजें उसके लिए लेके आते हैं. So this kind gesture shown by people who didn't even know him overwhelmed him. So ये लोगों का जो है जेस्चर देख के उसे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. सो ही मेड फ्रेंड्स आफ्टर दैट एंड गेन्ड अ सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी. सो उसके बाद उसे एक रे ऑफ होप नजर आती है. सो since this happened after the fire, he says that it took a fire for him to see the positive side of change now. क्योंकि ये सब उसके घर में आग लगने की वजह से होता है, so therefore he says कि this all happened after the fire. So it took him after that fire took him, sorry, it took a fire for him to stop focusing on the feelings of insecurity and open up. So after that fire, he started looking at the positive side of change. और change कौन सा? उसके नए स्कूल में जाना, that was a change for him. So he then started to take interest in things around him. Now 20th question. How did the narrator get his cat back? What had happened to the cat? One day after school, Zen was watching his house being rebuilt. He had his two new friends with him. He was planning his new bedroom with them when someone from behind walked up to him and asked if that cat belonged to him. To his surprise, a woman was standing with a tabby cat. He jumped with joy and held his cat in his arms. अब cat के साथ हुआ क्या था? So when his house had caught fire, the cat was so freaked out that she ran over a mile away. Her caller had narrator's phone number, but because of the fire, their phones were destroyed and disconnected. A kind woman took care of the cat and worked hard to locate her owner. After much effort, she was able to find the narrator and handed over his cat to him. So इस तरह cat जो है वो fire में इतना डर जाती है कि वो वहाँ से बहुत दूर भाग जाती है. So वहाँ पे एक काइंड वुमन जो है उस कैट को देखती है और अपने पास रख लेती है एंड शी ट्राइज टू फाइंड द ओनर और एक दिन उसे जैन का पता मिल जाता है. नाउ 21st क्वेश्चन. What is the meaning of my cat was back and so was I? Had the author gone somewhere? Why does he say that he is also back? The narrator meant that his life was coming back on the right track. He was living in the world of darkness with feelings of loneliness and insecurity. But after his house caught fire, people around him came forward to help him. He made new friends and started taking interest in things around him. Then one day a woman approached him and handed over his cat to him. He was more than happy to have his cat back. That was when he felt hopeful of things getting better. So both were back for good. So इस तरह से दोनों वापस आ जाते हैं. So narrator अपनी जो है darkness और insecurity की जो negative feelings है उससे बाहर आ जाता है और उसे उसकी cat भी मिल जाती है. So that is why he says my cat was back and so was I. Now the title, that is important. A House is Not a Home, written by Zan Godioso, is a touching story of hope amidst hopelessness. In the story, Zan, as a teenager, finds it difficult to handle the transition in his life. Transition means change. There is an upheaval in his life when his secure surroundings are disturbed. He feels lonely and isolated, and all relationships seem bleak to him. Zan terribly misses his old school, his teachers, and friends there. He feels like a stranger in his new school. Then his house gets burnt in fire and his cat goes missing. This is a huge setback for him. He wants to curl up and die. He becomes even more insecure after the loss of his house. But soon things start to fall at the right place. People around him show their love and care for him. He is united with his cat because of a kind woman. All this reassures his faith in goodness. Though he had lost his house, he still has his loved ones, his mother, his cat, and his new friends around him. With a positive attitude for life, he participates in the rebuilding of his new house, which will be his new home, because of his loving relations living with him. Bricks and cement don't make a home. Family and relations make it a home. Thus, the title is Justified. सो टाइटल जो है वो जस्टिफाइड है बिकॉज उनका घर जो है वो पूरी तरह से आग में बर्बाद जरूर हो जाता है, लेकिन वो जब नया घर बनाते हैं when their house is being rebuilt, so वो उसका होम होगा बिकॉज उसके जो लविंग रिलेशंस है वो उसके साथ उस नए घर में भी रहेंगे. सो अ हाउस इज नॉट अ home. This title is Justified. So that's all for today. Hope that you've liked all the questions and these are enough for your preparation. So do subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram and check the playlist for more videos on different chapters and poems. So bye for now and happy watching.